The most obvious way that everyone's going to be talking about is people don't have as much money to spend on things. And we are a comic book store. We do not sell anything that comes even close to being an essential. This is all stuff that you buy once you've got everything else taken care of. So when you've got gas and electric and food and rent even going up, childcare, who else knows what's going up, just fueling your car. Once you've got that taken care of, there's a lot less money left to buy the latest issue of Batman or a new action figure. Yeah, we've still got people who are lucky enough to have some great jobs, but comic books are there for everyone. Like, kids buy them, and parents who now have to worry about childcare for 3 kids are more concerned with that than buying some comic books. Add to that the fact that all the stuff I've just said to you are going up for us as well. Our utilities and electricity and all that have gone up, and our rent went up about 50% a couple of months back, which was a bit of a hit. That, and as I say, customers spending less, including long-term customers, people who've been with us as a business for 6 or 7 years, are having to reduce their orders or pull back entirely because they have other things to do, and it's hard to be angry with them. Yes, I'd rather be spending money here, obviously, this is my job, but I don't hold it against anyone if they're prioritising more important things than Spawn comic books. And me and my business partner have been having some conversations recently about what kind of terms we're in with contract with our suppliers if we do go under, because 6 months ago this wasn't a concern, 2 months ago it was, and we're looking at potentially downsizing, doing more online things, moving location somewhere a little bit cheaper for the rent, but which will be a smaller place obviously. What I want to do is keep going. This is my dream job. I've always wanted to do something like this. I've worked in other comic book stores and other stores. The idea of being my own boss and just running stuff the way I want to has done us really well for years. We got through Brexit when the prices of everything went up by 25 to 30% because we import from America and the international currency markets went haywire, and then we got through the COVID lockdowns because we've got a lot of regular customers who buy comic books every week, and you can post comic books out. I know friends who work in bars or do tattooing, and they couldn't. Their business went under. We survived those 2 massive things. This one is the closest thing we're going to come to potentially putting us out of business. Fingers very much crossed. We're not quite there yet, but it's definitely conversations we've been having.
Catch is a Leeds-based charity that has been working with the local community of Harehills for over 10 years. But they are not just a charity. Catch has become a safe space for young people and adults to get off of the streets and reach their full potential in a welcoming and friendly environment.
People need to realise that Catch isn't just, an organisation for members just to come in and take part in activities. I think they need to understand that Catch is much more than that. It gives them an opportunity to prepare for the future, which is very rare. Members are given the opportunity to come during the day on a weekend to come and help out with the farm. Now we don't tell them to do it. They do it from their own, they volunteer to do it. And we appreciate that, and we like to give them the opportunity because they feel proud of themselves, which is very important.
Members can get involved in one of the many volunteer-led projects at Catch. Grow Together is a project that grows fresh food for the local community, and the educational farm provides a unique opportunity for members to work with animals.
I lead on the farm, so as you can see here, we have over, I would say, 50 raised beds where it has been built by young people for the community. We are planting here vegetables, and once they are ready, we collect them and we give out to the community. We also have we have 21 goats where we look after them.
Both are projects designed and built by their young volunteers. I'm Mia Hagger from Leeds Trinity University in Harehills, Leeds.
Thank you, Damia. The report by Baroness Louise Casey looked at the Met Police's standards of behaviour and internal culture. She said she had found evidence of institutional racism, sexism and homophobia, but she stressed many of these issues are far from new and not limited to the London force. Joining me in the studio is Donna Eastham, a former officer for the West Yorkshire Police. Thank you for joining me, Donna.
No problem.
So, as a former police officer for West Yorkshire Police, how does this report make you feel?
I think it's sadness that it's come again in the wake of a real tragedy with Sarah Everard, but overwhelmingly frustration, review after review after review, and what changes. And I think ultimately the message that lots of people get and wider society get is that the police are untouchable because they don't have to change.
And is this something you've seen or experienced with yourself within the West Yorkshire Police Force?
Yeah, I think that, you know, we could replace the Met Police in Baroness Casey's report with UK police forces. I don't think it's the Met Police are unique in this by any means. I think this could be applied to all West Yorkshire police forces, and you know, there are leadership within the forces that must be looking at this report and wondering and thinking, is this part of what we do as well?
And within the report, it stated that the majority of Met police officers do not represent the people of London. Do the West Yorkshire police officers represent the people of West Yorkshire?
Yeah, I think that's twofold really. I think that the problems with Met police officers being able to live and work in London contribute significantly to that. I think that West Yorkshire police officers are more representative of the communities that they serve, but there's still lots to be done in terms of equity for everybody joining the police and people wanting to join the service as well, seeing people like them and wanting to represent their community.
And as someone who teaches current police officers, and in September you'll be teaching some new officers as well, how important do you think education is with changing the police?
I think it's central and it's critical to professionalise the police force, allow people to think critically, to know the context of the society that they're policing in and be able to operate in that wider environment. It's really key moving forward for the police force to effect change.
And do you think this education will help police officers change their perspectives?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think professionalising the force is one of those things that will elevate the standards, enable officers to, you know, lots of people who typically wouldn't have come to university to gain an education and feel as though they're part of something in society.
Unfortunately, that's all we have time for. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So this is the 5-day survey is only a pilot survey. So we are going to be taking some geophysical instruments and for the first time really testing them out in Croatian waters. They're a little bit warmer. The geology is a bit different. And so we're trying to basically see the submerged landscape that's under the water that was left behind at the end of the last ice age and try and map that landscape. And so in future surveys, we'll be able to go back, locate the really features of interest to archaeology and hopefully go back and recover some archaeological information in the next years.
Are there any kind of specific artifacts you're looking for? Because I know it's from like a specific period that you're expecting to find, but is there anything in particular you're hoping to find?
So we're specifically looking for the late Paleolithic, so it's the end of the glacial ice age. It's when people start to becoming and have the societies that begin to become us. So we're looking at people who are hunter-gatherers, but we're looking for materials such as stone tools, which maybe they used to hunt animals and game, where things potentially would, because again, one of the things underwater sites preserve well are the organic things. So it could be fabrics, it could be wooden structures, but we're also looking for the environmental evidence, things like peat, things like clays from the sea level, which will tell us about sea level rise and the history of how the landscape responded to the end of the ice age. And that's really important to telling us how humans responded in the past to climate change, and potentially will tell us, you know, how we're going to have to face a similar sort of climate change in the future, which is really, really interesting. We will be working with a new 3D sub-bottom echo sounder from Innomar, which allows us to look. It basically sends down a big sound wave pulse through the water and it penetrates into the seabed and goes below the seabed. And the echoes that come back from that tell us about the information in the seabed down to basically a 10 centimeter level precision, which is really, really high levels of precision for that kind of device. So not only do we get a map of the seabed, but we get a map of everything below the seabed. And that's really, in Croatia, doing it at that high resolution for archaeology is a really cutting edge thing. It's quite a technologically involved piece of kit, but it really is revolutionising how we do archaeology on the seabed.
Hello and welcome to the Yorkshire Voice News at 4 o'clock. I'm Demea Williams. Police have named a 17-year-old stabbed to death over the weekend in Armley, Leeds. Trust Junior Jordan Gangato was known to his friends and family as TJ. 4 men have been arrested on suspicion of the murder. The men remain in custody as inquiries continue. Police have been at the scene today whilst a forensic examination takes place. Author Anne Cleeves was in Huddersfield this weekend for Anne Cleeves in Conversation to mark the paperback publication of her newest novel. Famous for her crime novels and the Vera series that has been adapted into a much-loved TV series, Anne Cleeves celebrated her most recent paperback publication, The Rising Tide. This newest novel is the 10th instalment of the iconic Vera Stanhope series and her lockdown project. In sport, Leeds Knights have been crowned National Division League Ice Hockey champions following their 4-2 win last night in Telford. This Friday, they'll be hitting the ice for the first time as champions and are looking to secure more silverware in a cup final against Peterborough Phantoms. Now, on to the weather. Today, it will be mainly dry during the afternoon with a maximum temperature of 13 degrees. However, tonight is looking to be fairly mild and cloudy still, but with further outbreaks of rain overnight turning heavy at times. The minimum temperature is set to be 8 degrees. For tomorrow, the weather is set to be rather cloudy in the morning with heavy showers, which is expected to ease in the afternoon with sunny spells developing before more persistent rain arrives during the evening. Join us tomorrow for an exclusive interview with Ben Onwukwe, who stars as Red in the theatre production The Shawshank Redemption at the Alhambra Theatre in Bradford. Here's a sneak preview of the exclusive interview with reporter Amelia Riley.
So obviously the show's touring at the moment. It'll be at Alhambra Theatre in Bradford, 20th to 25th of March. So where can people find tickets?
I think the normal process is to go on the Alhambra box office website and start booking now. I think it's selling terribly well, but there's always going to be seats because what we like is to have an absolutely packed audience so that everybody engages in this wonderful story.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll be here all week, every day at 4 o'clock, so make sure to come back and join us again. If you want to hear more from us in the meantime, head over to our social media pages on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's all from us for now. Goodbye.
Welcome to Yorkshire Voice News at 4 o'clock. I'm Amelia Riley. An investigation is underway into allegations that Leeds Bradford Airport has breached rules over the number of nighttime flights taking off from its runways. A local campaign group claims people living under the flight path in the Eden area were subjected to 600 more night flights than the current regulations allow. Demaya Williams has been following this story for us. Demaya?
Leeds Bradford Airport is being scrutinised over the suggestions that it breached the planning permission that was granted in 1994 by allowing more night flights. A local campaign group want to take legal action against the expansions of the airport, and Leeds Bradford Airport have said it takes its responsibilities seriously and that it would continue to report on them in an open and transparent way. Earlier today, I spoke to Councillor Colin Campbell from the Eden and Otley district about the council's response.
The night flight regime is part of a very old planning permission.
And have you spoken to the residents about this? Like, what are their views on this?
Obviously, a lot of the residents of Eden work at the airport, so have a positive view of it. Again, a lot of people use the airport for holidays and again have a positive view. But I think it's fair to say that those people who live underneath the flight path are disturbed by aircraft noise and feel, particularly in the early morning at about 6 o'clock, there's been an increase in the number of flights, and that's causing them to be awoken earlier than perhaps they would hope. So they are suffering some inconvenience.
The council is now preparing a report that will be presented to the Planning Permission panel. Back to you in the studio.
That was Dameli Williams there reporting on Leeds Bradford Airport night flights. Now, police have hit back at criticism on social media over a viral video showing a motorcyclist pulling wheelies and taunting a police officer in a marked patrol car in Leeds. The footage was filmed by another motorist on the busy A64 Inner Ring Road dual carriageway. In it, the motorcyclist is seen riding along on one wheel without a helmet and making rude gestures at the police officer. He is also seen kneeling on the saddle. The video was shared widely on social media, with users criticising the police for apparently not intervening and then turning off at a junction. West Yorkshire Police say only specially trained officers in a suitable vehicle are allowed to pursue motorbikes, with full consideration given to the safety of members of the public, the officers involved and the rider of the motorbike. The officers involved activated his body cam and made a deliberate tactical decision to leave the road to de-escalate the risks. They're appealing for information to trace the biker. And police are appealing for information to help locate a missing 15-year-old. Omar Johnson Douglas was last seen in Bramley at around 6 o'clock on Tuesday. There are concerns for Omar's welfare, and anyone with information about his whereabouts is being asked to contact West Yorkshire Police. Now, the rate of council tax in Leeds is set to rise to just under 5%. On an average, Band D property residents currently paying just under £2,000 a year would see a rise of about £100. Our reporter Roxy Allen went into the city centre to get the reaction of local residents.
It doesn't affect me at the moment, as because I live in an hostel, but I am trying to get my own accommodation, flat or house, so obviously in the future it probably is going to affect me, because I'll need to pay a council tax, housing benefit and stuff like that.
Truthfully, like, it's really taking money out of my pocket, you know. I'm grafting hard, I'm trying to make my life, you know what I mean?
Becoming bill, I need to pay, that's it, innit?
Me personally, I believe it's just a way of, like, the government, the rich, getting richer.
The people of Leeds there sharing their views on the rise of council tax. Well, Labour-run Leeds City Council has criticised the government for the way it funds local council, and in a statement said, "We know people in Leeds are struggling, with everyone being affected by the cost of living crisis. We are doing everything we can to help, especially those most vulnerable in our local communities. But we are not being helped by this outdated approach to funding and will continue to call for it to change." And it's International Zero Waste Day today, which is being observed for the first time this year. The day aims to raise awareness of the importance of responsible consumption and production practices, as well as urban waste management. We're crossing over now to our correspondent Mia Hagar for more on this. What can you tell us, Mia?
World Zero Waste Day was established through a UN General Assembly resolution last year. It follows from other UN resolutions on waste, including a commitment to end plastic pollution globally. The day calls on all governments, businesses and communities to get involved in activities to raise awareness of zero waste initiatives. Today marks the first World Zero Waste Day, and events are taking place across the world. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said the waste crisis is undermining the Earth's ability to sustain life. Humans generate more than 2 billion tonnes of municipal solid waste each year. 45% of this waste is mismanaged. It is expected to reach 4 billion tonnes by the year 2050 if urgent action is not taken. The poor are disproportionately impacted by the waste issue, with 4 billion lacking access to controlled disposal facilities. It is expected that the promotion of zero waste initiatives can help advance all goals and targets in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Campaigns and outreach efforts will take place each year in the lead up to the 30th of March to continue rallying support and action on the importance of zero waste.
Thanks, Mia. Well, earlier today, I popped down to a local zero waste shop in Leeds to find out a little bit more about how we can help to reduce waste. This shop in Leeds is focused on getting rid of single-use plastic packaging. It's called Leeds Refills, and it's all about getting rid of unnecessary waste.
This shop here is based on people bringing containers in, glass containers, plastic containers. We have lots and lots of takeaway containers. They donate them into the corner there, and people can just come in and pick them up if they want, use them at any time. So it's just reusing all the time, trying to stop using plastic if you can.
David says it's almost impossible to avoid plastics altogether, but the idea behind the shop is to do so as much as possible.
Even this shop, when we get supplies in, sometimes there's plastic wrapped around. We have to recycle that. We have big plastic containers that you can see in the corner. We have to recycle them. As pallets, we put word out that we've got 5 pallets outside now. People come and take them away and use them as recycle. So as much as possible, recycle, and also consider what kind of plastic you're buying. If you ever buy a plastic bottle, have a look at the bottom. It's got a number on it, and it goes from 1 till 6. And if you've got a number 1, that means it's really poor plastic, and that's the plastic that ends up in the oceans, in the rivers, and just thrown away, and it can't really be recycled. It just needs to be incinerated.
David says that the shop stocks a number of items from independent producers, so is supporting the local community. David Thursfield there from Leeds Refills. Now, in a recent survey, it was revealed that people across the country find that the Leeds accent is the most unattractive in the United Kingdom. Our very own Essex girl, or should we say lass, MJ Binns, went down to the city centre to speak to the locals to see if they agree.
No. I don't think so, no. I feel like Leeds is quite nice, it depends.
Not really, not at all. Been born and bred in Leeds, never left the place. Very proud of my accent.
No, I wouldn't. When I first came to Leeds, I noticed it, but I thought it was brilliant.
Well, it seems the people of Leeds don't agree with that survey there, but now it's time for the weather. MJ, what's it doing out there?
So it's not really doing much at the minute. It has been trying to rain for a little while now. Tonight will be dry until early hours, when there will be a few outbreaks of rain with temperatures dropping to 8 degrees. Tomorrow we can expect clouds with outbreaks of light rain and showers, but it will be cooler with a maximum temperature of 12 degrees. Looking ahead over to the weekend, it will be the same, but beware, there could be some frost over onto Monday. Back to you, Amelia.
Thanks, MJ, and thank you for joining us today. We're back tomorrow at 4, so make sure to come back and join us again. If you want to hear more from us in the meantime, head over to our social media pages on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook under Yorkshire V and Yorkshire Voice. That's all from us for now. Thank you and goodbye, and I hope you have a great evening tonight. Hello and welcome to the Yorkshire Voice News at 4 o'clock. I'm Amelia Riley. On today's show, the future for Huddersfield Town is looking less bleak, and today is World Meteorological Day. Later we'll find out what the people of Horsforth think of climate change.
I'm very worried about climate change, and I'm sure it will affect the weather eventually, but I think it's hard to pinpoint if the fact it was very cold last week is a result of climate change.
But first, 4 men have been charged with the murder of a 17-year-old boy in Leeds. Trust Junior Gangata was stabbed in Salisbury Grove Armley early Sunday. The 4 men, aged 18 and 19, were due to appear at Leeds Magistrate Court this morning. 2 drivers who were racing each other at speed moments before causing the collision which killed another motorist have been jailed at Leeds Crown Court. Simon Hinchliffe, who was 53 and from Kirkburton, was killed at the scene which happened on Huddersfield Road in Kirkburton in October of 2020. Moments earlier, the 2 drivers were seen speeding along nearby roads at speeds of up to 90 miles per hour, where the limit was only 40. A West Yorkshire police officer has been charged with assault whilst on duty. PC Simon Hartley works in Bradford District and has been charged with common assault. He's due to appear at Leeds Magistrate Court tomorrow. And in sport news, Huddersfield Town have agreed a takeover by an American consortium, which means they will avoid going into administration. John Wilson has been a supporter for 55 years and is a member of the Town Supporters Association. He joins us live now. Well, thank you for joining me today, John. It's really nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
So obviously you saw your first game in 1963, so that's almost 60 years as a supporter. So how do the fans feel about this deal?
I think the overwhelming feeling will be one of relief that at long last the wrangle that seems to have gone on all year is finally over. So the big bonus as far as Town fans is concerned is that we've done it without going into administration, which means that we don't get deducted 12 points this season, and we rule out the possibility of starting next season with a possible penalty of 12 points. So I think from that point of view it's good news. I think most Town fans will welcome it. There will be a little bit of apprehension because we don't know who these North American owners are, whether they're from a sporting background or that type of thing. So there's always that little bit of uncertainty, but I think overall the feeling will be one of relief.
Yeah, I'm sure it can be quite worrying, but I mean, at least there's some hope there. So what does this mean for the club?
Well, I think it gives them... Well, first of all, for the rest of the season, it means that they know they've got a fighting chance of staying up. I mean, it's still an uphill battle, but the points deduction would have sunk them. So basically, knowing that they've still got a chance of stopping up this season is a big bonus. I think as well that going forward, we understand from what we've read about the deal that Dean Hoyle, who has been who took over from Phil Hodgkinson again, he's taking most of the debt with him, so it means that the club will be basically debt-free. So they're going into a new season. They'll need a new manager. They'll need to strengthen the squad. But overall, I think that feeling, there will be a real feeling of hope tonight that better things are just around the corner.
Yeah, so it's all looking good overall, all hope there. Is it sort of a trend now for English football clubs to be bought out by outside groups and organisations? I mean, Wrexham was bought by Ryan Reynolds, and obviously Man United has been bought by Glazer. So is it becoming a trend now?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of foreign owners. I mean, most of the big clubs in the Premier League are owned by foreigners, teams like Manchester United, Manchester City. Even further down the pyramid now, there are owners, as you said. The days when the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, you know, from the local high street ran a club seem to be coming to an end. It does seem to be much more of a big business now.
Yeah, so is there definitely still some hope there for the fans, though?
Oh, yeah. I think the overall feeling tonight, Amelia, is one of hope. The uncertainty and the death has gone.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, John. It's been great to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
No worries. Now, 6 fish and chip shops in Leeds have made it to the list of the 50 best in the whole country. 2 of them are different branches of Kirkby's Fish and Chips. Alicia Whitehead has been to the branch in Horsforth.
During the annual Fry Awards, Kirby's, a local fish and chip shop in Leeds, triumphed. I spoke to Andy, the owner, about what it was like finding out that both of his shops were in the top 50.
We were really chuffed. It's something that I've been striving towards for a while and pushing on that way. And then last year we missed out at the Meanwood shop by like 1%, and it was something that I really pushed for this year to get it. And we took over here a year ago yesterday, and it was something that we wanted to do at both, so we entered both and managed to get both inside that top 50, and everyone were really happy with it then.
During the Fry Awards, judges secretly travel across the country, judging the food, cleanliness, staff, value for money, social media and much more.
Pretty good. Speechless, which everyone will tell you ain't really often that happens, but yeah, I was speechless from it. So
I also spoke to Andy about what his plans are for the future and what his next steps are in terms of social media use.
Social media is something that now is pretty key to the business, and it's something that we need to do more of going forward. We're already pretty active on it, as you'll see, but yeah, we need to do even more, I think.
Today is World Meteorological Day, which focuses on the future of the ocean, weather and climate across generations. We spoke to the public about how they think the climate change is affecting the weather.
I don't know too much about it, but I do love the sun, and I do love
the UK weather, so that's my piece.
Well, I think last year when it was sunny and stuff, it was also times where it was really rainy as well, so it's made it less predictable and more random of weather changes.
I am very worried about climate change, and I'm sure it will affect the weather eventually, but I think it's hard to pinpoint if the fact it was very cold last week is a result of climate change. Although I do think the floods, people say it's just a fluke that we've had so much flooding in at times like in June, when in my lifetime I don't particularly remember that until recently, so I think that probably is a result of climate change.
Well, from future weather to recent weather, Demea, what's it been like out there today?
Well, I'm here by the running track just outside of Leeds Trinity University, and unfortunately the sun has now disappeared. It was coming in and out, but unfortunately it's just a bunch of grey clouds outside. However, tonight showers will continue into the evening, which will merge into a longer spell of rain overnight. Wind should ease a little but remain blustery over high ground and around showers. The minimum temperature will be 4 degrees. For the weekend, it will mostly be cloudy with heavy rain and showers on Saturday, so make sure to be prepared with those umbrellas. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Demea, and thank you for joining us today. We're back tomorrow at 4, so make sure to come back and join us again. If you want to hear more from us in the meantime, head over to our social media pages on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. That's all from us for now. Goodbye.